Howdy, 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 and welcome to another episode of the DirtInfo Podcast. This week, we will discuss all of the rockets blasting off, a whole mess of mics, and we'll run down all the big money, late model, modified, and stock car shows around the country. Carter, I think the next segment is our still unnamed segment, so I'll ask it really weirdly. Carter, what are you wearing?
I got a Race Rudine Foundation race shirt, event shirt. It's kind of confusing because race, but anyways, it was
Spelled
from
two ways. The first
yes,
one is with a Y, and the second one is
yes.
without. Yep.
It's a race. It used to be an all-star Circuit of Champions race that would bounce around from facilities. Now it's part of High Limit, but it's still moving around. And this was when it was at Plymouth. I got, and there's a sprint car and stuff on the back. And it was only $10. It was a $10 event shirt, which you don't see too often. And I got
No.
this. Rico Abreu won this night. It was 2 years ago, I think it was. And now this race actually is at 141 this year. So that's pretty cool.
Okay. That is pretty cool. Follow-up question. I believe I saw that Rico then produced a shirt, like a memorial shirt for winning that race. Do you also have the Rico shirt, or do you
I
just
do
have the
not.
race?
I just got this one.
Okay.
I did buy a Rico shirt while I was at this race, but I do
Fair
not.
enough. Fair
I've
enough.
been
Fair.
I think Plymouth is the only track to have this race twice, and I've been to both. The first one Kyle Larson won in 2020, so
Awesome. Awesome. So I would just like to point out that I knew enough about sprint car racing to know when someone made a shirt 2 years ago. So it's not that I don't like sprint cars. I just follow this other stuff more. Anyway, I um I'll go next because there's only two of us, but I'm wearing shamelessly a Rocket Rodney Sanders shirt that Sherry bought me for Christmas. I actually think I got this shirt the same year I got the Winger shirt from last episode. That was a good year for shirts here. Um, but yeah, I wore it because obviously he's I shouldn't say obviously, but I wore it because he swept the weekend with USMTS. And honestly, the theme of the weekend really just felt like rockets. So I thought this was good. I mean, the title's gonna play off of it. And then we got that awesome thumbnail from I believe it's Danielle Ayers photography that we're using. So that shot's awesome too. So anyway, I was shameless plugger. I said it last week too. I always got a theme. But anyway, so USMTS, obviously I watched that. So let's chat about it real quick. I don't think you caught much any of it, and we wrote about
nope.
it everywhere. So shout out to Brad too on the killer coverage over the weekend. Um, but yeah, Sanders swept both races in an entertaining fashion. The first night, Strickler and Brandon Davis were out front battling. Sanders led, and then I think Davis got by him, and I don't remember the order. But anyway, Sanders was in third, and he was just kind of letting them go at it in traffic. And one and two, I think one of them tried to slide the other and a lapper, and basically all three. So the two leaders and the lapper slid up, and Rodney just catfished around the bottom and just drove out. He was gone. There's a couple more restarts, but he was pretty much gone. And then the following night, someone we've talked about a bunch on Saturday, Tom Berry Jr. was actually leading the feature.
I did see
And
this. This was one of the few things
okay,
I saw from it was he
okay,
was
yep,
leading and got into a lapper or something, right?
yep, yep. Looked like to went to slide him, didn't quite clear. Tried to actually lift out, right? So I don't think he like cleaned him out. He just tried to get out of it and just a little too much speed and didn't and just misread it and clipped the lapper and cut a tire and he was done. And so Sanders benefited from leaders in lap traffic again, and went on to win. I think it was his 123rd career USMTS win. So, um, but so I don't want to say he was dominant, but he was definitely dang freaking good, and he did what he needed to do to win. So, um, and in a bit of like, I guess interesting or Schadenfreude or whatever. But the other two guys that were racing with him on Friday, they both heard a motor on Saturday. I think Strickler's might have went completely out, and Davis set quick time on Saturday and then packed up and went home because he hurt the motor. But anyway, the one of the other things I want to mention about this show in general is Alex Williamson passed like a bajillion cars this weekend. He, I believe, started somewhere in the teens, both features, was somewhere in the top 10, cut a left tire. This is both nights now. Cut a left tire fairly early in the feature, went to the back of the field, and drove all the way up into the top 5 both nights. My man passed like 20 some odd cars a night.
Too bad
Like,
they don't count like total cars passed, even if you like end up behind him at some point.
right, right. I mean, it's USMTS, so they have passing points to make the feature. It feels like my man should be benefiting from passing all them cars in the feature. but but yeah, yes, I know that's not how passing points work. By the way, I'm just saying. But anyway, I thought that was kind of an interesting and rad story. Just like, I don't know. I've seen that guy race up here during during the fall at Ogilvy and stuff. He claims he says my home track's one of his favorite tracks. But anyway, seen him before he was on tour, so it's cool to just see him out there digging. And I know he's one of them guys I was talking about before who's just got like a trailer and a truck, and he's out on the road with these guys. And so to see him dig like that, I thought that was pretty cool to see someone just kind of doing that.
Technically, they all got a trailer and a truck. Just the other
Okay.
trailers and trucks are a bit bigger than maybe what he has.
All right. To clarify, Mr. Literal, he's got a pick 'em up truck and a tow behind trailer. It might be a fifth wheel, but anyway, yeah. No, you fair enough. Touche. But yeah. Anyway, so I thought that was cool. And then the other thing I do just want to mention real quick is the stock car feature on Saturday. There was less than 5 to go, and the leader was checked out. And this is Hamilton County's a half mile, and it's a big half mile. Like, it's a long straightaway. My guy was checked out a whole straightaway with less than 5 to go. And Brandon Hare passed him last corner, last lap, diamonded off of 3 down into 4, and the leader kind of washed up, and he just right underneath him and drove right by him to win it. I have no clue how he made up that much time in such a little amount of laps, but he definitely didn't lift. I promise that. He was winding her on the top, but I thought that was pretty cool. That was the coolest finish I probably saw. But anyway, enough about that. Something we both did watch is we both caught Friday of the Illini 100.
I always call it a Illini 100.
Yeah, I think that's right. Illini. That sounds right. Like the basketball team or the university team. Yeah,
exactly like that.
Yep. So, but Friday. So all right. Can I be real for just a minute? Can I just maybe just like concede defeat? I mean, I'm still a Jake Tim homer, but I think our little disagreement is well and settled. For new listeners, I took Jake Tim as the rookie of the year, and Carter weighed in, and he strongly disagreed with me, and his choice was Ethan Dotson. And as we sit,
this was before Troutman joined the party, by the way. There's a very good chance Troutman might win it, but
we may neither be right, but you'll be more right than I was, I feel. So, anyway. So, yeah, Dotson won on Friday. That was a big win. And you made sure that I saw that it happened.
That was a pretty crazy feature too. Like,
Yeah.
there was that English Bab and Pierce wreck in turn 1 or whatever where
Turbo 2.
Yeah, Turbo kind of caused it, sort of. And I don't think it was on purpose, but he was involved and caused it. And then Bab
he was the meat in a sandwich kind of situation.
Kind of forced Bab on the bottom, like off the track, and he tried to get back on, and then he hit somebody, spun. Tanner English hit him, and them two were both up in the air. And then Pierce hit like the like underneath, I think, of one of the 2 cars.
Of Bab, I think.
Yeah.
Through and cleaned
and then
up
I think
Bab,
Pierce still managed to finish 6th that night after having to go to the back. Yeah. So
I guess
I know he was in the top 10. Yeah, I didn't notice it either until the next day, but yeah, that's how you win championships, I guess. I mean, get sent to the back, and if you can still get in the top 10, that's a good night.
Yeah. like Alex Williamson, right? But anyway, yeah, that was I honestly thought he was done for. Although I did see they did do the camera shot in the pits, and there was a whole mess of folks around
Yeah,
helping him out and
he
stuff.
got
So
back out. It may not have been sixth, but it was in the top 10. I'm like
right on,
99% sure.
right on. Top 10's good enough for us. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? If that's still hella impressive. So yeah, I mean, speaking of Irby, he was part of that, and he finished fifth. So he just went along his merry way and had a top five after all that. But yeah, I think if memory serves, once kind of all the calamity played itself out and Dotson went to the lead, I think it was about halfway. She kind of pretty comfortably
because
led the rest of the way, right? Don't I
yeah,
have that?
yeah, I think Troutman was leading, and then he got by Troutman on a restart, and then he was kind of checked out, and then a caution came out, and Thornton was in second at that point. I was like, oh
Yep.
no, Dotson might be screwed if Thornton's in
Yep.
second. But
Yep.
then the rest of the
I was
race,
a
he
pretty
kind
big
of
Ricky Thornton Jr. fan. I'm not gonna lie.
he kind of just stayed out in front of Thornton like pretty much the whole time, from what I
He did.
remember. Like he may have got challenged on like a restart or two, but aside from that, like once they got going, he kind of pulled away. So
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty impressive win for sure. I mean, he won 12 grand too, so
yeah,
it's a pretty good race. And then Saturday, I didn't catch it, but I did watch it back. Bishop won, and hence the rocket theme, right? It's been I joked earlier, it's been like since the Reagan administration since they've won a feature, but I don't know, it's been some amount of months, but so
it's been a while. Not
yeah,
counting the Rocket One car itself. Bishop obviously won Gateway, but yeah, I don't even remember when the Rocket
yeah.
One car won like a legit feature.
I can't recall if McCready won in that ever. If he ever won a race in that car.
I
I
think
don't
he
know that
won
he did.
a like a split field deal at Lernerville, but I
Okay.
don't count that as a feature win if it's a split field. I think that might have been it. And I think the last win might have been Hudson, honestly.
Probably was. Probably was. Yeah, and I don't think the Rocket One should be crowing about winning a split feature or anything either,
No.
just as a general matter. So I don't think they counted either. But yeah, so they got back in victory lane. That obviously is, I mean, for those who follow that storyline a ton, that's kind of interesting. They're back or whatever. I think Shepard had said that like, he never left, and I kind of agree with that. Shepard has been didn't he win or do well in the B5 car? Well, obviously Gateway Dirt Nationals. So I mean that
He did
alone.
good at Makokata when I was there. He didn't win, but he
Yeah.
was up front. I feel like Shepard's
Yeah.
problem is qualifying. It's like so bad a lot of
Yes.
nights. Like, and then in the feature, he's going 16th to like sixth or fourth or something. You
Hmm.
know, it's like if he didn't have to pass 15 cars, he may have had a chance to win this thing.
Yeah. And that's been the case for about 2 years, or almost three. I feel like this was a thing that developed when he moved over to Longhorn, and then it just kind of persisted, and now it's followed him to the Rocket One too. So I will say there's a little bit of that's been Bishop's MO for a few years now, where he just can't qualify worth a shit. But um, they won, and they'll and maybe this will be the turn of the tide, or maybe it's just a blip. I don't know. I don't know. People were talking about it. I thought it was interesting and fits a theme, but as we think through it more now, I'm like, what next? Like, so they won a race, whatever. Like, go win another one. So anyway, I do want to mention. So Mars was there in support.
The modifieds.
Mars modifieds were there in support, and on Friday night I had a good laugh with Sherry. So Mike McKinney won and checked out, but then there was a solid battle
I was gonna say, Michael Long was pretty close. I think it was Long was like right there at the end. Like I feel like one or
at the
two laps.
very end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
McKinney was pretty much checked out. But towards the end, I was like, oh, he might get him,
yeah.
and I was like, nope, no, he won't.
Yep. So yeah, he's checked out for a fair bit, and then did tighten up in traffic. I
Yeah,
believe is yep. Tightened up in traffic. It did get interesting. There was, well, is he going to get him? Is he going to get him? But he didn't quite get there. But anyway, so McKinney won, and to your point, Michael Long finished second, and then Michael Ledford finished third on Friday, and then Mike Norris was in victory lane on the mic, interviewing all of them, and I was just kind of cracking up with Shay. I'm like, that's entirely too many mics in one little area. Anyway,
And Mike
um,
Harrison wasn't even there. Could have had another one if he
no,
showed
he
up.
could have been another one. Could have been another one. And then on so then on Saturday, I watched this feature back, but on Saturday, it was kind of a repeat where Falloway led like almost the whole thing and was out, and Cole Falloway was out in front, by a fair bit, and then Michael Ledford, who I believe started somewhere like eighth, ninth, somewhere in that area. Anyway, hunted him down in traffic and passed him with, I don't remember how many to go, but it wasn't a whole lot of laps left to go, and got by him. And so Michael Ledford went on to win, and then Falloway held on for second, and Michael Long was in third. Uh, so yeah, so
Oh,
they were good races.
there's one thing I want to mention that roll in the rollover in qualifying on, was it Friday night, Cody Overton's roll?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that I thought of it because when I went to Farmer City for this exact race in, was it 2017, I think it was. Mike McKinney had like a exact same kind of rollover that Cody Overton did, and going into turn one, like literally just got
Hmm.
too high and then rolled off the track. But yeah, that's something about qualifying there, I guess, in turn one. If they get over the track a little bit, they start flipping pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. He did two full rolls. He got some air, and I mean, and landed on all four wheels. So,
I
but
And I think he ended up, oh, I guess he had a provisional, but I know he ended up making the feature Friday, but it was in a backup, probably with a provisional fight, I guess. So
yeah, I would assume so. And I think he went pretty far forward. He didn't
I
make the
I
top
I
five out
remember
of.
Ruben talking about him during the feature, so he must
Hmm.
have been doing something in the feature if he was being talked about. Although he could
Yeah,
have wrecked again for all. That's also
I
another reason
don't
why.
think that was. I think he might have. Think he might have been in the top 10. To be honest with you, I think he might have been. But that's testing my memory. But um, anyway, well, you drove by the Illini 100 this year too, actually.
Yes, I drove
So
right by it. I had to
right by
go
it.
to Coles County and Lincoln Speedway, which I'll get to in a bit. I do want to mention, I honestly forgot I went here. I went to Gravity Park on Friday. Um, I forgot I was even there. Just to watch racing. It's a track only an hour from me. And I had nothing going on Friday, so like I normally do in racing season, I'll just go watch a race somewhere.
I
So
do want to say I believe Tyler Wilson won a feature. Is that correct? Did I
he
see
won he
that
won
correctly?
he won there, and then he won this next night in Tipton, Iowa. He won a stock car feature as well, so he had two
Oh
wins.
yeah. He went all the way down to Tipton after Gravity.
Yeah, Tipton's
Nice.
not
And picked.
that far. It's eastern
Oh,
Iowa, so but
okay.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's a fair bit away.
I mean, it's
But
further than the 30-minute drive to 141. At least 30-minute
yeah,
for me.
that's for sure. But hell yeah, my guy got my guy got two wins. That's pretty rad. So way to go, bud.
Um,
Um,
but yeah, so I was at Gravity. I think they had like high 80s. In car count, which is fairly normal for them. It was a fairly quick show too, which I appreciated because it was cold. So, um, but then yeah, the next day I had a 6-hour drive to Coles County Speedway in western South Illinois, kind of south, I guess it's southwesternish. Um, and yeah, on the way there, so I hate driving through Chicago, so I took the like 30, 40-minute longer route. And that route happened to take me directly past Farmer City, like so close that I literally saw the pit area. So that was it, I didn't mind going to Coles County, but when I'm that close to Farmer City with the field they had there, I was like, it's like, dang, that's kind of unfortunate. But uh,
yeah,
but yeah, so I went to Coles County. They had a micro, I think we talked about it last week. It's a
yeah.
micro track, and then midgets and stuff. And unfortunately, they had a bunch of rain last week because I drove through that rain when I went to Talladega. And so the track was pretty like hammered down and didn't widen out much. But I've seen streams there, like the Extreme Outlaw Midgets, the one that the World Racing Group has.
Yep.
They've ran there before, and I've seen it get widened out, and they're right against the wall and stuff. So I think I just caught him on a bad night. But uh, that was Saturday night, and then Sunday. This wasn't on schedule. We didn't even talk about this last week. I ended up at
Yeah.
Lincoln Speedway, in Illinois, not Pennsylvania, and they had midgets, which is why I was there. They needed a camera guy for the night, and I was like, well, I'm down there anyway, so I might as well help out. And I really like Lincoln. It's probably my second favorite track in Illinois that I've been to, behind
Okay.
Fairbury. And they had, I think, like 60 cars. I don't know, it was maybe high 69, I think it was. Um,
Okay.
but they started at little after 6 and were done before 9, so that was sweet. And the racing was really good. Chase Holland was there in the modifieds. Ray Bollinger, who I'm sure you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a few others I can't remember. Dave Wheatholder, he's always the guy that I remember from the
Oh,
Dome.
yeah.
Always at the
Yeah.
Dome.
I was
Um,
at the dump.
and the mod feature, I thought it was about to get like really good, and then a caution came out with like 2 to go, and Bollinger was like getting a big run on the top. I think he was about to throw the slider, and then the caution came out, and I was like, "Oh, yep, this one's over."
Uh,
I didn't care who won. I really can no. I just wanted to see a good
yeah.
finish, but
Yep. Just there for the race, right?
pretty much, yeah,
Yep. Yep. So didn't Holland ended up winning that one, right then?
yep, he won.
Yep. Yeah. Cool.
But
Well,
yeah, that
he was
was.
fit the night before, so
Was
he,
he at Farmer City Saturday night? I know he was there
yeah.
Friday. Okay,
Yeah,
I
he's
don't
there
know if
Saturday as well.
I don't
He
know if he
finished
ran
fifth.
both days or if he ended up at like Highland, Illinois, or
No,
wherever
no,
wherever else.
no. I think he might be running most of that Mars series. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's
He
supposed to be
makes
focusing on
he
the
makes
UMP.
trips up to Illinois all the time, so even
Yep.
if he's not planning on it, he'll be at a bunch of them.
Yeah,
So
we had a bunch of them. Yeah, but no, I think he started on the pole or outside pole and maybe led some laps on Saturday, and yeah, and then he ended up finishing fifth. So kept the hot streak going.
yeah, and then
I
picked up a win the next day. So good, good.
yeah.
I don't know how Friday went, but good Saturday, Sunday at least.
I mean, like full disclosure, a little like get sideways for a minute. He is part of the reason. He is actually like one of the absolute main reasons that I like modified so much, that I like the USMTS so much, like that I like dirt racing so much. No joke. Like when I started getting like real back into like dirt racing of 4 or 5 years ago, it was like him and Tanner Holmes that I watched a lot. Like that was like as how I kind of like got connected to the sport and learned a bunch about it. Well, Hump the Front too. Like you can't
Yeah,
leave the OGs out. But like those were my three. Those were the three that I watched. And then like of them, it was like, oh, I identify. That was supposed to be Chase Holland, but of the ones I identify with Chase Holland the most because there's those guys are around me, right? Like, oh, I can see them, and then like I would go and I actually would like meet Chase, and I've talked to his dad Chavis at tracks and at the Dome and all kinds of stuff. So, like, I don't know. If you hear me talking about Chase Holland, I'm like always going to be a bit of a fan. Like that whole YouTube, those three YouTube guys and his YouTube channel in general is like what drew me to racing. Like it made it feel more connectable than a lot of other sports. So,
I know
anyway,
a bunch of drivers seem like they're trying to do the YouTube thing, so which is a
yeah.
good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more you can have access, like the more access you can have to like, I don't want to be like personal life, but just like the sport. So like, even if it's sort of
Behind the
just
scenes and stuff.
yeah, yeah, and it doesn't have to be everything. Like just whatever little bit of your personality you want to show, people will eat it up, and people are always super interested in like what goes into cars and decisions, and so I don't know. There's a whole avenue of ways you could do content that doesn't have to be like wildly intrusive, like every day in the life stuff. So
There is two things I want to mention from Lincoln. One, it was the first time I ever saw a Crown Vics race, which are like a big thing. Not really the
police
stealth, but
cars,
just stealth of me, I guess. Um,
yeah.
and I don't know why. I don't know how fast I was expecting him to go, but they did not go as fast as I. They were real slow. The racing was fine. I don't know why I thought they were going to be a little bit faster, but the racing, yeah, they still race good. Um, so it was cool to see them ones. Maybe there's faster versions. Like there's some four cylinders that are way faster than the four cylinders by
Mhm.
me. But and then in the midget heat races, Parker Jones, I think he won the Badger Midget Championship and the Mara Midget Championship, which Mara is like the Illinois version. It's just like they're the same
Mhm.
cars, just one in Wisconsin, one in Illinois. But anyways, he's like really, really good. But in his heat race, he was in a huge wreck. So at Lincoln, they got like a lot of the Illinois tracks do. There's just like no wall on the front stretch because they got a big horse
Mhm.
track. And he hit the tires where the wall starts back up, like slammed into it and rolled. And thankfully he was okay. But more impressive, they got the car fixed and we're back out for the feature. I was like, oh, that thing is
Really?
junk. Yeah. I think
Oh wow.
he ended up he wasn't in contention to win, but he ended up towards the top five. There was only 14 cars there, but I was
Okay.
still I don't think
Yeah.
that thing was at full power after what happened. But
Yeah, I mean, like if he's clipping the car, if he's clipping a wall in a midget, right? You figure
yeah,
that's pretty
it was one of
significant
those
damage.
it was one of those wrecks where you could hear the impact. Like that's like I don't know if you've ever seen one of those wrecks
Mhm.
where it's
Mhm.
so yeah, it was one of those, and
Yeah.
it was like, oh, I hope he's okay. And then he got out, thankfully. But yeah, he actually he went at the Chili Bowl. He almost made the feature in a Badger car, which is like a Wasota late model versus a super kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like, so he's very good. So he won
Very good.
Saturday night at Coles County as well. So
All right. Well, right on. Well, glad he was okay, and even more impressed they were able to put that thing all the way
yeah,
back
back together.
together. Yeah. I mean, understated in that sounds like there was like two, maybe three classes, so it's not like there's a bunch of time in
There's
between.
5 classes, but they
Okay.
kept it moving.
They
So
kept it cooking. Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say you said it was a 3-hour show, so it's not like you had a ton of
yeah,
time.
I think they got a tight curfew there, and it's a Sunday
Okay.
night in a not a big town, but it's not like a there's maybe 1,000 or something people. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. But well, pretty cool story. Um, the so I got kind of like brain for locked there, but anyway, I think there's a couple more. There's a couple more results that we thought were like slightly noteworthy, but like not worth belaboring the point. And some of them were like, well, duh, that happened. And the first one would be Josh Rice won at Florence. Um, so so he won 5,000 with the Northern All Stars at Florence. Um, and then their modified series ran too. They got 32 cars, which I thought was noteworthy. The late models had 35, so they're pulling down good numbers for that series. And then Ben Harmon won that one. That was 1,200 to win. And then actually they run again this week too. So we'll just kind of mention that this time for 10 grand though at Paragon. So with a bunch of people off, you never know who might show up there. There could be a name or two that shows up. I'm trying to think who might like race locally at Paragon, but I've got nothing. You
I
know
don't even know
anyone
if
from
they
that area?
run late models there weekly.
I
So
don't even know
I know
either. I don't
Gustin
even.
showed up at that show a few years ago. It was obviously wasn't Northern All Stars. I don't think
Yeah.
it was around to that, but it was like a early or April show with all the series off, and Gustin showed up. That's all I remember. I think he won that night,
Okay. Okay.
but I
Okay.
assume Gustin won't be there. I'll probably be at a
I
race we'll
know.
be talking about later. So, but
Yeah, I've got a different guess. But anyway, that's gonna be my new game. Let's see if we can name someone who might be a threat to win
maybe
at
my
a show.
only person that might show up only because he's from Indiana is Hudson O'Neal, and that's
Hudson O'Neal.
literally just a guess because he's from Indiana. So,
Well, and actually, I don't know that I wrote down the name here, but I think it's like a memorial rate. I think it's like Marvin or something O'Neill
oh, so
Memorial. So there's our win pick. I bet Huddy wins that one. I bet he's there and I bet he wins. So
assuming
there we
he's
go.
related
Boom.
to Hudson O'Neal, there's a very good
Yeah, I
chance there's
assume
no
so. Well,
relation.
the way it was spelt, right? There's a couple different ways you can spell that, and his is pretty unique. So, I'm gonna go with he'll be there and he'll win. So there's our hook. We'll see if we were right. um, anyway, and then I think one other one that the dude who won the most money in a late model wasn't at World of Outlaws or anything else. He was in a 602. The big perm Dalton Wilson won 50 grand at I think that was his home track, Fayetteville Motor Speedway in North Carolina. I think he's from
I
Fayetteville,
believe
North
so.
Carolina.
Yeah.
So, you see where I'm getting this idea for this theme? Who might be there and win on some of these more random shows? I should say random. They're big money. They're noteworthy. They're just like,
Random to
you know,
us, I guess.
random to us, right? Like
If if
we're
if it was a show happening in Wisconsin, it'd be a big show to me. But if it's in
yeah,
Indiana, it's like, oh,
yeah,
I'm not going to be there. I probably won't pay as much attention to it.
yeah. Yep, Carter's HTF.TV subscription is expired, so he won't be able to catch it. Anyway, um, so I just thought that was cool that Big Perm went and picked up 50 grand in a 602. There wasn't, I don't think there was another super late model driver there other than him, and he won. But anyway, and then so did you mentioned it, the King of the High Bakes thing at Marshalltown? Did you know who won?
Yeah, Kelly Shyrock won second
Yeah,
time. He won. I think it's only been around for 2 years, and he won both. So
yeah,
I
okay.
watched Thursday. Friday, I was at the races, and unfortunately, they were
Yeah.
done before I got home. I love when tracks, not when I'm there, but when they're streaming. I love when they take their time because then I can get home and then still watch the feature.
Yeah. That actually is a pretty common theme with you. More than once we'll get a message like, "Hey, where's this show at? I'm on my way home. I'll be in 20 minutes if I can catch the feature." Yeah, you might.
I hopefully my mom doesn't watch this, but I will sometimes just put it on as I'm driving and just listen to it, of course, and then maybe
Yeah,
glance at a
just put
stop
the
if I'm at a
phone
stoplight, I'll take a glance, you know. That's how I was able to watch the World of Outlaw sprint car feature. Pretty good race from what I heard.
from what you heard. Yeah, yeah. It's just like that race stream. It's quicker for me to open this and get the race stream up. I hear you. I hear you. Anyway, but yes, Kelly Shryock did win, and his chassis brand is Skyrocket, so hence more rocket themes. Um, oh, we didn't even really mention it, so to just tie up all of the rocket themes real quick. Hudson O'Neill swept that Lucas show. We said JD was going to swing through and pick up 27 grand, and it turns out it was Huddy. So,
And they got
and he's gonna.
a good car count for that too. Like I didn't think
They did.
they was I think they had higher than Farmer City by like one or two, but I think Friday night was higher than what Farmer City had
Yep.
Friday night. I don't know about
Yeah,
Saturday.
43 to 42. 43
Yeah,
to 42, Lucas with 43, yeah. And then they were, I think, both 40. So they both lost a couple cars on Saturday. But I don't know that the field was like super, super deep, but there was a lot of names there. Brandon Overton, Mike Marlar, JD, as
JD.
we mentioned. Yeah, Cade Dillard was there. So they had some names show up and they all ran up front. So it's pretty solid show from what I could see. I did watch, I think, caught highlights of both of them. It was a fairly decent race. Although Huddy kind of whooped up on him Friday and Saturday. He had to work for it a little bit more. But anyway, there's that. So that is more or less all of the big money results. So as far as this upcoming weekend, Carter, I think I might be going racing this weekend.
Oh
I
yeah.
think I think so. Think so. So it all started on a whim. Sherry does hair. She has her own it's called Beautiful Salon. She's got her own salon here in the house and she does hair. She asked if we had any plans this upcoming Friday because had a client trying to book an appointment. I was like, "No, but Princeton's running." And she's like, "Ooh, racing." And I was like, "Yeah, do what you think's best, babe, but there's racing this weekend." And so she ended up taking the appointment, but she's like, "I decided I could take it on Saturday or Friday, and we'll just go to Ogilvy on Saturday."
It's not supposed to snow up there.
No, it's gonna be a little bit chilly, but I mean, we're early in the week. Things can obviously change, but it looks like we're mostly dry this week, mostly in the high 50s, low 60s. I'm feeling good. I'm
It's actually
feeling good.
better weather than here. By me,
Yeah.
it's rain Thursday, Friday, and no rain Saturday, but I think it's like a high of like 49 or something. So
Mm,
I'll
yeah.
sit in it. If they're racing, I'll sit in it. But
Right? We're hardy northerners. Like, if I want to go see racing in April, I know what I'm signing up for.
exactly, you know what you're gonna expect.
Absolutely. I'm not gonna wimp out because of the weather. Like I can take a couple of bundles. I got more than enough hoodies and jackets. I'll figure it out. So yeah. But no, I'm hoping barring anything. And then the other like the soft factor that might not make it work either. Sherry somehow managed to hurt her foot the other day, and she's limping around. So that might put a damper on it. So I'm rooting for good weather and fast healing. my two variable
As long as she
factors.
can make it up a little bit of stairs, she can still be
Yeah.
fine.
Oh yeah, we only got to go up a few. So
Yeah. You just have her sit
anyway,
sit on the bottom row. I'll go up here. You can watch from down here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You just wave at me and I'll come down and see what you need. I mean, she's got my race pass, my race. Should we say that? She's got my race pass logged in on her phone, so she doesn't have to ask me any questions. She can stay up to date on who's doing what. I'm all set. It works for me. Anyway, so, well, you just said the weather's crappy around you, so racing maybe, maybe not.
If it doesn't rain, I'm finally not driving far at all this weekend. It's literally the furthest race is 30 minutes. On
Okay.
Friday, I'm going to Luxembourg, which is shorter than like a 3-minute drive. It's like 2 minutes or something. So that's Friday, and then Saturday is 141. For their
Okay.
they opened last Saturday. They had 182 cars in 5 classes, which
Impressive.
is no extra money or anything, but that's like a normal car count, which is the weird thing. That's like,
No, I know.
yeah, it's nothing crazy, but yeah, they opened on Saturday, and then they have their second week this Saturday. So I
This
hope
Saturday.
to get to go there because I don't get to go there as much as I'd like to. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll see as a running theme, I think, as the season goes on. But I mean, I know you stay abreast of all the happenings at 141, but you don't make it there nearly as much as you want to.
no,
Some of your favorite
I used to
shows and
go.
drivers and everything are there,
I used to not miss a race there. Like I would
right?
literally like not like instead of going to some big show in Illinois, I'd be like, no, I want to see a weekly show at 141. And then towards the end, like right before I started streaming, I started being like, okay, I can miss a show to go to the Lucas Oil show at Fairbury or whatever I ended up going to. But yeah, I would be there. I mean, highest car counts, usually the best racing, and
Hmm.
my cousin, my friend would run there who used to race at the time. So it was like everyone I knew was there pretty much.
Yeah.
But
Place to be, right? That's where all your
yeah,
people are.
the
Yeah,
plus
I
side
can
is
get
is,
it.
is now that they're on Flow, I can just tune in if
Yeah.
I got a chance while I'm streaming.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But I think that's like a total bonus though, right? It's not like you wouldn't go because it's on
no,
flow. It's just
no,
an absolute
yeah, and it's just
bonus
it's
that
just
it
a bonus
is.
that I
Yeah.
can check in if I'm not there. Yeah,
Right.
if I didn't have to stream, I would go to 141. I wouldn't stay home and watch on TV. I don't care how cold it is or whatever. I would be there. So
Exactly. Yeah. No, I wanted to throw that in. There's two sides to that coin, but I'm absolutely with you. Streaming is just a pure bonus. I'm gonna go do whatever I want to do, no matter what. And like streaming is just gonna make sure I can follow your stuff or stay up to date on more stuff I want. Or, it also serves as for me, probably for you too, but there's a lot of tracks I've either been to or still want to hit up that I only know about because I saw them on
on
streaming
streaming, yeah,
somewhere. Yep. And I watched a race and I went, that race is good. I want to go see a race there.
yeah.
So,
For
yeah.
me, it's my streaming gets used like Flow or Dirt Vision, whatever I use, gets used more like during the week versus the weekend because I'm just
Hmm.
rather be at an actual track versus watching
Same.
online. Although sometimes I'll be at a track watching streaming. If there's an intermission and all of a sudden Lucas Oil's starting their feature, it's like, oh, I guess I'll watch this during intermission or
Uh,
something.
I don't do that quite as much as you. We've been to a few races, but I do. I mean, I do that too. I'm not calling you out. I do it too. But I try in my old age. I try to be very in the moment of wherever I am and just like soak up, the atmosphere and the downtime and everything
Oh,
like
I've
that.
soaked up plenty of downtime. I'm good. I'm good on
I've
that.
done enough. You'll get you'll get to that hump eventually. Get back to, but for now, you're young, you're smart. It makes sense. You can handle. Get old like me, like it's too much stimulation. I kid. Anyway, but yeah, it's always. I would. There's no part of me that ever's like I'm gonna stay home and watch this race from XYZ, then go to anywhere.
Yeah.
If I want to go, I'm there. I'm absolutely there. So anyway, speaking of being there, one race I do want to mention that's coming up this weekend is the Slocum 50, and with Mars late models. I'm bummed I'm not going to that. So I went 2 years ago. I had planned to go last year. Like last year was going to be a family trip with the boys. We were staying at a casino resort, like hotel thing, and there's a water park and an adult arcade, also known as a casino. And then there was like an actual
Oh,
arcade and there was go-karts. Anyway, there's this whole nine. That was the plan, but it got rained out the original weekend, and then once it got rescheduled, like now we're into boys playing baseball and all of that, and we don't have that kind of time on the weekend anymore. I had to miss it, but I'm so bummed. I'm so bummed. I love that show. I went the one time I went, like I don't know, it hooked me. Like the story behind why it is a race, like Brent Slocum, was a local racer there, and he unfortunately died in an accident at the track where someone was exiting the track on. I don't know much about it other than they were exiting the track and they made contact with his car and he unfortunately passed. But they've been running this race for quite a while. They've got a foundation set up that is dedicated to putting this race on. It means so much to the community. You can see, like, I went and I wrote, my normal like race recap articles like I do, and like the community response, I had multiple people reaching out, just being like, "Thank you for writing about this. This means a lot," and we can tell that you just kind of were here as a race fan, but like we want to tell you more. So it was really cool. It was really cool. And I remember seeing that was 2 years ago. They were unsure if they were going to get both days in. So they swapped how they did it and they ran the big show on Friday
yeah.
and they did. Yep. They did ultimately rain out the second day, which was fine for us. We just hung out in the casino and had an absolute blast and drove around town and saw stuff. But anyway, that Friday night, we stuck around late, and I was in the pits talking to people, and there's almost no one there, and we're walking through, and Sherry wants to use the restroom, and what I later found out was like the track owner promoter comes out, and he's like, "You can't. Sorry, that one's out of order right now. Go use the dudes. I'll be here all night till I have it fixed in the morning." But and he said way more than that, but just like even that interaction, I was like, dang, dude's like he's in the shit. He cares a lot. And the food at the track's fantastic. Anyway, I could go on and on about this race. It's a cool race, and they're gonna have, I think, a ton of cars there. I really do. I think they're gonna have a whole mess of cars. They're gonna have all the Mars guys, and I think what Shepard, speaking of Bishop, is going to be there.
The
Bobby
Mars
Pierce,
points leader, Bobby Pierce, he's gonna,
the
running for Mars, I'm sure.
Yeah. If everything breaks right, he's running for points World Series. Yeah. But yeah, he'll be there. I haven't seen a ton of other people announced as of us recording this, but I'm sure there will be more. All of the Mars regulars will be there. I'm sure this race was a pretty big staple on the MLRA schedule as well too. So I think a lot of those guys that raced it a lot might be there too. So the Simpsons and that kind of thing. Anyway,
I think
I
it could be
expect a pretty big field.
a similar field to what Makokata had for the Nippy 50, minus a couple guys, but I think it'd be something similar. I mean, you gotta get those Midwestern bigger names in the Midwest, like a Dennis Erb or something. And then obviously MLRA guys, like you said, which were at the Nippy 50 as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then your Fagers and Unzigers and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. That's actually a really good comparison, and that was a very solid field. I mean, RTGA neither of the touring series are running, and I think the next closest thing is that Northern All Stars race that we mentioned. So, if you want to run a super around that area, you are all more or less just there too, right? Like somewhere in Missouri, somewhere in we're in Illinois, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We shall
And
see. But
they also race Thursday at Cedar County Raceway,
yes.
which I believe is Tipton. I think we mentioned earlier. I think that is Tipton, which I said Tyler Wilson
Okay.
won at. So
Okay. Cool. Will he be there on Thursday? I don't know.
I don't know. Do they run stock cars?
I have
I
no
haven't
clue.
looked.
We are not that researched. That was a random, unknowable question. Maybe Tyler Wilson will be there on that
I'm sure there'll be
Thursday.
some type of IMCA classes. Just don't know which ones. I'll watch it on a Thursday.
Yeah,
I'll be home. So
for sure. And that's on Flow, yeah.
yep.
Tomorrow. Yeah. Right on. Right on. A couple other races worth mentioning just real quick, like super late model races, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. But the Spring Nationals has got two races going on. One's at I-75 Raceway for 10,053 bucks. But Saturday is at Tazewell,
Oh,
21,000. Yeah,
I
not
yeah
53, just
yeah
21,000
21.
even.
I
Yeah,
I like Tazwell. I want to get to
yeah,
that track. Actually, I like both of those tracks you said, but
yeah,
Tazwell really stands out because of the banking, obviously.
yeah. So I kind of I feel like I know one dude who's going to be at Tazewell and probably the favorite to win. Do you want to venture a guess? You've seen him win this year.
Oh, okay. I was thinking Dale McDowell, so I'm assuming
Yeah.
that's yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think Dale McDowell will be there, and I suspect Jimmy Owens will be there, and I suspect the two of them will be racing for the lead. Although Overton could end up showing up too. Actually, I think he
Yeah, he
races
shows up to
that
some of
track
those.
really well. Yeah,
Or
I
like
think
a
he does really
Ashton
well.
Winger or something. I mean, that's a little
Yep,
bit of he's from Georgia, I think, but that's
yep,
probably the closest big show that I'm aware
yeah.
of.
Well, I-75 is where he had that
Big rollover.
that
Yeah.
wild interaction with Mac McCarter. So yeah, so yeah, some names that could potentially be in attendance, but I really think I think McDowell's gonna. He may just show up at Tazewell and win $21,000 and go home. Anyway, and then Comp Cams is at Arrowhead for 5 and then 10,000. And my curious to show up would be Cade Dillard on that one. That'd be a name that I think could potentially. I think he might be the Comp Cams point leader right now. So that's who might show up there. And then one other show kind of worth note because of the pay. 10,000 for the Southern Thunder late models is in Southern Raceway. Got it? Anyone you know that's pretty good around Southern Raceway that might be there and might win?
Uh, Joseph Joyner is the only one. And Bo
Yep.
Slay might show up too. They're
Mostly might too.
those are the two guys that I know
Yeah.
might be there.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
some of
figure.
those Alabama guys, but
Yeah, yeah. I figure Joyner will be there. I don't want to venture as much to say a favorite, but probably pretty close. That's their home track. I mean, though it's
yeah.
got more laps around it, so he'll be there. And then I think I saw that weather is playing a little bit of a factor with respect to the only modified race that of note is, I like jumbled that whole thought into the wrong order. Let's start again. The the American Racer Modified Series runs at Arklatex this weekend, but I think I saw that weather was an issue, so I'm not sure if they'll get that in. But if they do, it's 1,500 and 2,000 two shows at Arklatex. So with USMTS being off for 6 weeks, we failed to mention that before. You might see some guys down there, but
And
yeah.
then there is the 100K to win XR Woomba or whatever they're
The
calling it.
Roomba,
Yeah,
yeah.
which if 141 cancels, I will get XR and watch that because I
Okay.
love me some sport compacts. So if I didn't do
Yeah.
so much driving the last 3 weeks, I might even show up there if 141 were to rain out. But
Yeah.
I'll think I'll stay home this weekend.
I remember when this was first announced, we kind of gave you a hard time about going, and you were kind of like, but like didn't totally rule it out. But now that we've got to this point in the season, yeah, my man, you have driven entirely too much recently to consider that. Stay home, watch local. If you gotta stream it, yeah. You put your car needs a breather, man.
Yeah, I was just glad it didn't break down this time, going to Illinois, so that was a plus.
Wow, right after having experienced it and then just knowing you got to go put more miles on, I bet there's some
Yeah,
unease.
very paranoid about it.
Yeah,
Every
every
time
little
like
like
the wheels
noise.
started shaking, yeah, yeah. After putting over $1,000 into it the past week, I hope it won't break down right away.
Right, but I've been there. Yeah, you just put a bunch of money into it. Now everything is like, oh, turn down the radio. What was that?
Or turn up the radio, pretend that you never heard
Well, that's after about the 10th one. You're like, I'm convinced
it.
it's just me now. Anyway, I think that's everything we wanted to cover this week, which means, Carter, it's time for.
The one for the road, and my one for the road got announced an hour and 51 minutes ago. 141 Speedway. So they have the King of the Creek, which the past, I don't know how many years they've did it, maybe 6 or something. It originally started as a 5,000 to win show, and then a sponsor added some money, and it went to a 10,000 to win stock car show, I should add. which obviously 10,000 for stock cars is a good chunk of change. And
Hmm.
then this year they changed it to two full shows for 2,500, which I was not a fan of, but it's not my money, so you can do what you want to do with
Right.
it.
Yeah.
But what I expected to happen happened, and a sponsor jumped in, Appleton Camping Center, that's the sponsor, and made it
Woohoo.
back to a 10,000 to win show, just one day or 2 days, but just one feature for 10,000. But they changed the format, which I'm a big fan of. So originally, when they had the 10,000 win show, it was the first day for the stock cars was double heats and then top 10 in passing points locked in, which was fine. But I always wanted them to kind of do this, and they finally did. They switched it now, where the first day is heats, B mains, and then qualifying features, where the two qualifying features, top five from each, lock in to the second day, which I think is on a Wednesday. It's the second day, and then on Wednesday you have B mains and like a last chance kind of thing, which is it's different from a B main, even though that, you know what I mean. It's hard to explain
Hmm.
because they're the
Yep.
same thing, but it's like B
Yep.
mains, the top like two from the B mains lock in, and then third, fourth, and fifth of the B mains go to the last chance, which
The
then the
last
final
chance
four,
qualifier.
the
Yep.
last chance, yes, and then they
The
lock
for
in.
real, there's no more
Yeah, the
chances after
actual,
this last chance.
yeah,
We're done with chances from here, race.
pretty much.
We're really freaking serious
Yeah,
this
this time we're
time.
being serious. Um, but yeah, so then they have that, and then the 10,000 win show. But I like that the first day now is features instead of just like you kind of feel
Yeah,
like you're not just watching heat races all night, you're watching
I
features too.
agree.
Which they
I
still
agree.
had support classes running features, but still, you wanted the stock cars to run something. So
Yeah, I agree. Even with those special shows, like if it's even if it's just like some qualifying features, the 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 ability to like see that like the competition ramp to make the feature, I think is a little bit cooler than just kind of two two sets of heats and then someone gets out their Rubik's cube and does some points and tells you who made it, right? Like I think being able to watch them progress towards actually finally making the feature is like a cool part of that. So
and
I agree that the
and with
format changes.
the old format too, I feel like if you have one bad heat, I mean, you can come out for your second heat and give yourself a better shot the next day. But like, if you have a bad heat, you got the B main, and even if you finish in the final transfer spot of the B main, that gives you 20. I don't know. I'm guessing they're going to run 20 laps in the feature to come
Hmm.
from 20th to the top five and lock in. Like, I feel like you just have like a
Yep,
better chance to actually make it in. Um, and obviously with
agreed.
IMCA stock cars, you can come from 24th to the win, like no problem. Like,
Mhm.
not that the competition's bad, it's just they're just that racy, I guess. So
Yep, there's just yeah. I mean, I don't know enough to explain why, but sometimes just a guy and a setup and a car and a track all mesh together, and he's able to just
yeah.
put down laps and get around. Yeah. So
And with it being up to 10,000, we'll probably get some travelers again. I was worried with
yeah.
the two 2,500s, you might get a one or two out of state guys, but I think now with it being
Mhm.
back to 10, you'll get. Well, the last year they only had like four travelers. They still had almost 80 stock cars because there's just a ton of them in Wisconsin. But you want to see those guys that you don't normally see. Like I've seen
Yep.
most of those local guys all the time, so you want to see like a Murdy or someone show up. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe this year that might happen. Um, help me. So for future, this was called the King of the Creek,
yes, they have the
and
Clash
then the
at the Creek,
the Clash at the Creek.
and then the Sport Mods is the Captain of the Creek,
Okay. Okay.
which
I need to remember that.
I wouldn't be shocked if in the future I have a one for the road that is the Sport Mods went from two 2,500s to 10 because they also unfortunately got the purse cut down. So
Okay, fair enough. Well, hopefully someone does, right? Because I mean, those shows are, I don't know. I don't want to complain about either, right? Like if you what you've got to support is 2,500s, run them. Like awesome, that's still
yeah,
good for the
I'll
class.
still
But
be there too. So
yeah, exactly, right. Like I don't want to imply that any of it's bad. It's just I don't know. We like to talk about like what we have coined big money races, and I think for most classes we consider that 10-ish thousand or there's about, and give or take depending on the class. But like we're all for big, big purse races, and especially for Carter, like right up the road from Carter, he gets to go watch that cool, cool race, So like extra for it. So I didn't want it to feel like we were, pissing and moaning about $5 grand still being available to races. We
Yeah,
weren't. We're just saying this is awesomer. It's
exactly.
all.
I mean, I feel like most fans they see a 2,500 win show or a 10,000 win show. It's like, oh, 10,000,
Mhm.
that's cool. For
Yep.
although drivers too, they might like they're getting paid 2 nights kind of thing. So it can
Yep.
vary. I mean, you see
Yep.
some shows that are 5,000 win get way more cars than a 10,000 win show, just
Mhm.
depending on how pay is. So
Correct. Yep. Yep. For sure. But that bigger. Kind of like when we were talking about that XR race, and now I know that's 100 versus 10, but
yeah,
like the number up top does kind of add to the drama of it all, I guess, if you will. Right? Like it just feels like things ramp up a little bit more when there's more money on the line. Or maybe I just make a big old story in my head, but either way.
well, I mean, a fan for sure. A fan's always looking at the what the winner gets. Like,
Yeah.
I'll look at the pay, but it's like I don't care what 24th is getting in the feature. Like, oh, it's paying this much money. It's a big show.
Yeah. Yeah, and I will say, like, I don't know, I've done a few little rants, but I'll say this too. Like, I remember when the Eldora Million for the late models was going on, and I was at like a baseball party for one of the boys with all the baseball dads and stuff. And like I can talk baseball, so that's not a problem at all. But like I was sort of preoccupied watching the Eldora Million, and they were asking me what was going on, and I was like, "Oh, I'm watching dirt racing." And reactions vary. I'm kind of in the burbs with kind of the well-to-do folks, and that's not to say some of them aren't familiar with this, but like by and large, most of them are. But then I go, yeah, they're racing for $1 million, and then everyone was just kind of like, what? Like, and not every race can be $1 million race. But I've said to people, yeah, they're running for 100 grand, and they'll be like, what? Like for real? And I'm like, yeah, there's big money up top for these guys to race and go out for it. It's cool, and so I don't know. I think in attracting new fans, there's some benefit to having some of those big shows too. So I don't know. Obviously, we're always going to advocate for for more money, but it has to make economic sense, and we'll leave it there because I've
Yeah,
yapped long enough.
let's not be having 10,000 to win and 50 to start shows or anything. I'm not saying I want that.
Yeah, right, right. I
If it,
want fair pay. Of,
yeah,
of-
I'd
yeah,
rather it be
yeah,
if you're
yeah,
gonna do that, I'd rather just be split not
yeah,
equally, but better through the field
yeah,
versus yeah, we could do 10,000, but the guy who finishes
yeah.
last is gonna walk home with their pit pass money back, and that's about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. No, I'm just as a general thing. Like I've noticed that those, big paying to win shows do have they catch the attention
They
of
get
the
the new fans.
non-casual.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
exactly.
non-casual viewer. Yep, yep, yep. So, just some merit to that as well. So anyway, well, I think that means it's my one for the road, and I'll try to be a little bit quick. We've gotten sidetracked a bunch, but I did want to mention that the Heartland Modified Tour ran this past weekend, and they were at Electric City and I-35, which I believe you told me were in Missouri.
Yes. Was I
Correct?
wrong?
No, I
Okay.
haven't. I haven't fact checked it. I'm rolling with what I'm making sure what you told me last time. I'm reciting correctly.
They were in like Nebraska or something the whole time.
Yeah,
No.
no, no,
I
no.
know I-35 is Missouri. I'm positive on that.
Yeah, yeah. But so I wanted to note because they had a previous show at Humboldt that we had brought up on a previous episode, and there was kind of these two sweeps. Randall Schiffenbein Jr. swept first place, but Shadron Turner swept second. Well, this time around, I think it was Randall Schiffenbein Jr. wasn't there, but Shadron Turner was. He won the first feature. So he won the first feature, and the second feature at I-35, I believe he was leading with only a handful or so to go and succumbed to a mechanical issue. So my guy was about to go second, first in his first four races, and I think that's kind of cool. He's a former B mod racer who's pretty dang good in a USRA B mod. And I don't know. I'm checking back in on a storyline. I'll check on a bunch. It's kind of proving the point of these regional series a little bit. Like this guy's getting meaningful seat time. And, Tyler Davis is a former USRA national champion, and he, tying another thing, he makes the bomb race cars as well. He manufactures race cars as well too. So like, it's not like there's just nobody there. there are good race cars there, and Shadron Turner is still turning up the heat, and I think getting his sea legs underneath him. So I wouldn't be shocked if I'm talking about this guy in a year or two racing USMTS. I just wouldn't. So anyway, there's that. But I wanted to mention it. They had solid car counts, 30 to 30-ish both nights, so a little down from the first time out, but still solid-ish car counts, and Shadron Turner is staying hot. It's a bummer he had a mechanical issue. I will note Dakota Dale won that feature, so you know the last one's the one that counts the most, and Dakota Dale crossed the finish line on that one first, so he's a winner, and we should mention that too. So, but yeah, and then a fan of the show, Bobby Williams, was third in that show at I-35 too. So, kind of cool to see him following up on his success at the King of America. But anyway, I said keep it short, so I'm going to keep it short. That's what I do for short. If you're still here, please like, subscribe, share, tell everybody because you're a diehard. We appreciate you. And with that, I think we'll see you next week.
Yep. See ya.
All right.